Welcome again, everyone, to the second opening of this iteration of Now What? Wonderful to see your faces from all over the world. Sue Lennox joining us from Australia. Pete Whitehouse, how special. And everyone else, some of whom I know, some of whom I don't know. We're going to begin with Clare Hedin, the voice of the earth.
Could everybody mute who is not me, please? Thank you.
Staying in this space, please, absorbing this gift. Letting the expansiveness that Clare has invited direct us and inform us. Welcome, welcome. Initiation, alchemy, and unity. These are our themes. I'd like to introduce Lev Natan, and I am meeting him for the very first time right now. And Lev is going to provide another dimension of initiation into alchemy, unity, community. Over to you, Lev.
Thank you, Stephanie. Just want to make sure everyone can hear me. I just moved yesterday and I don't have my whole setup that I usually have, microphone and whatnot. So yeah, good afternoon or whatever time it is all around the world. This one earth that we live on or with here. Yeah, my name is Lev Natan. I live here in the Berkshires, Western Massachusetts, about 2 hours west of Boston and 2.5 hours north of New York City, with my wife, Sarah Natan, and my son, who's taking a nap. He just turned 2, Emmett Cole Natan. And so that's who I am primarily, as a husband and a father. That's how I see it. And then I'm also the grandson of a Navajo elder, adopted grandson. We've known each other for about 9 years. So when Ben asked me to share something here, more and more I'm finding myself wanting to share what I've learned from Jake Singer. I really have a lot of respect and gratitude for his presence in my life. He's helped me out a lot personally with my family, hard times that I went through a number of years ago. And it's related to, just the little that I'm learning from Stephanie about your work, shock and trauma, the personal shock and trauma, and then the sensitivity that I have for this Mother Earth and this one human family that it took me down, I think, a number of years ago into the alchemical place of the dark night. I didn't want to be here anymore on this planet. I didn't think I could do what I thought I came here to do. I was in a hopeless state, and the ceremonial ways, indigenous ceremonial ways of life, they gave me a way through of initiation and unity with life, protection of life, to have that commitment to protect life. The sweat lodge and the Sundance ways, carrying a chanupa, a Lakota pipe, learning how to do that over the last 6 years in particular. It really helped me to, take care of my responsibilities. And then also I, through that, founded an organization called Alliance for a Viable Future. So primarily focused here in the Northeast as our mission to create and generate climate leadership here in the Northeast, in organizations and communities. So what I was thinking about. I just wanted to share a little bit about who I am, where I come from, so you know, have some context for what I want to share, and that you would have the patience and you know, the kindness to just go along with it a little bit. You know, maybe it's something new that I'm going to share, so I just appreciate your kind attention in that way. So yeah, my granddad Jake, he talks about an energy sphere that is present all the time around the earth, around our bodies, and then in particular in our ceremonial practices, we generate an energy sphere. You know, at the sun dance, where there's a big tree at the center of the circle, then there's an energy sphere that you can't see it, but you can feel it. And just like the beautiful energy that Claire just shared with us, you know, we could hear it, but we couldn't see it. So I'm going to invite you, if you want to stand up, you know, and I'm going to try to do it. I put my earphones on, so I might have to do something, but we're gonna connect with the guardians of the four directions that they protect the energy sphere. So to invite you, because we're here on this earth, and the sun, it comes up in the east and goes down in the west, wherever you are. You know, it's always like that. So it's good to pay attention to those simple things of life. So here I'm facing the east right now. So I invite you to find where's the east for you. You know, where does the sun come up through your window? You know, and you can open your heart and feel your feet on the ground and your head up in the sky, and relax your shoulders, and acknowledge the guardians of the east. Say thank you for the new day, you know, the new beginning of this now what cycle here, you know, and thank you for the courage of the founders, Ben and Stephanie, and all the collective, everyone that has come together to start this, you know, many times now. And then that first time, we say thank you to the energy and the wisdom, the intelligence of that beginning when that sun comes up in the east. So say thank you. And then we can turn to the south and open our hearts to the south, to that place where the sun is in the sky, a hot day, you know, when the work gets done. You know, say thank you to the work that needs to get done. Thank you to the energy that we have to do the work, to the will to do it. You know, that when the wind blows, you know, and you're out working and you feel good being outside, working in the garden, working on the land, or you're in your office, you're on your computer and you're writing something, you're talking to people, you're doing the work, you feel it. It's the work of one heart, one mind, of Mother Earth, of all of life. You're doing that work. Say thank you to you, each and every one of you that's here on this call. Say thank you. And to those listening to the recordings, thank you for doing this work. You know the work that you're doing. So guardians of the south, say thank you to you. And then we can turn to the guardians of the west and say thank you to the wisdom tradition, you know, the elders, the teachers that guided us along the way. We wouldn't know what to do sometimes we don't know what to do. We turn to our teachers, our mentors, our friends, our guides, you know, the ceremonial ways, the teachings that we have to turn to. We don't know, we get lost, we fall, we stumble, but then we have wisdom traditions. We have people that came before us through these times. In the generations before us, they also had hard times, and they got through it and they passed it down to us. They want us to succeed. So we say thank you to the guardians of the and protectors of the West. So thank you. And then we can turn to the North. And we say thank you to the other side. They say in the altars that we have, it's a half moon altar. It's a half moon, a half circle. One of the altars that I learn about. And it says it starts in the East. It starts in the beginning of life, and it's the road of life. It goes all the way to you're 50 years old, then it goes till 100 years old, and that's when you die. That's the teachings. Maybe a little longer, maybe a little shorter, but then it's actually a full circle, because there's another part of that circle when you go to the other side, when we drop the body, that alchemy, that final initiation. My Lakota relatives, they say it's a good day to die. When they ride into battle, when they had to defend their land, that's what they said. It's a good day to die. And I understand it like that. It means I know what this is. This is a physical body, but I am beyond that. This climate change and consciousness, it goes beyond the body. So like that, I can have courage to live a full life. I can live with courage because I know I don't have to be scared of death itself. So then with that, we can say thank you to the guardians of the North. And then I ask you to get down on your knee too. It's a good way. My granddad, he taught me to pray on my knees so that I could be humble. And I like to get on my knees and touch the earth, touch the ground. Imagine you're touching the earth, but it is the earth. It's all from the earth, even if you're inside. You can touch the ground with your right hand and touch your heart with your left hand. And we can feel that connection all the way down to the center of the earth. Say thank you, Mother Earth, for taking good care of us, giving us everything that we need, even though we don't take such good care of you. We do our best, but we've fallen short these generations. So we ask for forgiveness for our shortcomings. And we want to do the best we can to take care of you, protect life, respect you. This is sacred Mother Earth, Grandmother Earth. And we ask you for your guidance and your help and your energy of life to give us the strength to be land protectors, to be water protectors, to do everything in our power to make a good place here, a good home for the generations to come, our children, our grandchildren, all the way down 7 generations into the future. I ask you to give us that energy into our right hand, up to through our arms, into our heart. Feel that strong strength of energy. Oh, and then we can stand back up and just open yourself through the top of your head. Imagine there was a window at the top of your head. You can feel that connection up to the sun, the moon, and the stars, all the heavenly bodies, the sky, Father Sky. You could think about it like that too. however you understand it, to connect to the infinite universe beyond this planet, that we have relatives even beyond this planet, the star people. You can connect to them and ask for their intelligence, their guidance, and any way that you connect to that guidance and wisdom that comes from a place that's beyond our understanding. However you have a relationship with it, I invite you to make that connection right now to up above. And then again to our heart here, the seventh direction. You are the seventh direction inside of you, each one of us. What we do matters. I invite you to just feel your presence here in the circle, the presence that you have in all the people in your life that care about you, and that you care about them, that they rely on you, on a daily basis, and in the projects that you coordinate and are part of. Who you are and what you do matters. So you're going to take all of that, this connection to the energy sphere of life. And then the way I was taught too, that when we make a prayer in this ceremonial way, whatever we say, it's going to be that way. It's going to be that way. And then we follow that prayer forward into the future like that. So that's the way I see this Now What meeting here today and the next number of weeks. That, I invite you to say it the way you want it, and then walk it all the way, make it be that way. Have faith and trust it's going to be that way, because we all care about it. So wanted to share that many words, and just say again, thank you so much to Stephanie and Ben, especially for thinking to invite me to share a little bit of what helps me. Thank you.
Thank you, Lev.
Thank you, Lev. Beautiful,
Thank you.
beautiful. Clare and Lev truly creating an opening for Now What, and for all of us. Ceremonies of new beginnings. Deep gratitude to both of you for sharing your gifts of unity in a time of polarization that we can alchemize, and continuing with the direction of personal transformation of consciousness as an important aspect, if not the central aspect, of climate activism on behalf of our beloved Mother Earth. As we alchemize from within ourselves, I'd like to share some simple somatic energy medicine that is sustainable, that I impart in the hopes that you will carry on the practices to keep us, as both Clare and Lev are showing, fresh in gratitude and humility, cleansing from within, and being forces for unity and community in a world beset by polarization, separation, antagonism to drive us apart. And we can, through our being, counter that. So I want to show you some sites on your body that you can visualize and touch. We're going to combine both visualization and touch. I'm going to tell you about the site on the body that is called alchemy. I learned these sites from my teacher, Mary Eno Burmeister, who is now my ancestor. And her teachings to me have transformed my nervous system and allowed me to be of service to humanity. I'm so grateful to her. So there is a site that I'm going to ask you to visualize. It's actually on the lateral aspect of your lower leg. It starts laterally here on the periphery of your lower leg and goes all the way down to your ankle. So that entire area, starting here, this is sacred site number 8, which is called the alchemizer. And there are points all the way down this peripheral line bilaterally that are alchemizing lines. And you can play with that in your own time. If you need to let go of anything, those sites bilaterally, if you palpate them, will assist you physiologically and in your consciousness to let go. But for this somatic attunement, I'm going to ask you to visualize those lines down the lateral aspect of your lower leg as you hold another site, which is right in the bend of your elbow. So I'm just dropping my fingertips, any fingertips, bilaterally into the bend of my elbows. So standing with your feet approximately hip width apart and all your joints soft, bringing your head back slightly so that it floats on your cervical spine, and seeing how that immediately widens your chest, dropping down with your breath coming into your belly, visualizing the line of alchemy on the lateral aspect of your lower legs. As you gently rest your fingertips, no pressure needed, in the bend of each elbow, and feeling the breath of life 3 times with the exhalation twice as long as the inhalation. Staying with the shifts within your nervous system, within your connective tissue, within your mind and your heart. The sites in the bend of the elbow allow you to have energetic boundaries, allowing you to be able to differentiate the past from the present, to be in the moment, claiming your individuality, letting in what nourishes, detoxifying from what does not. And your visualization down the lateral aspect of your lower legs is alchemizing all that you are releasing, all that is toxic, so that it not only slides off of you, it is alchemized. This is the theme that we're going to carry through today. It is transmuting poison into medicine. We have the capacity to do that, to transmute poison into medicine. So I'm so happy to be here with Ben Roberts, Climate Change and Consciousness, and Now What are almost like twins that grew up together, are still growing together. And Ben has created an incredible technological service through the maps and the community structures that he is extremely gifted at sharing. So I'm going to turn that initiation over to Ben, introduce the community of Now What.
Thank you, Stephanie. Out of our bodies into our minds. Just a brief tour. It can be a little dizzying, the different dimensions of Now What. We're looking here at the network map in this little cluster. These are the people who have requested so far that they be added to the map for this edition. You can hover over them and things pop up. You can click on them and see profiles and more information. And we can also see who's chosen to be part of this, going all the way back to March 2019. It's not complete. So probably Now What has touched 10 times this many people that we're seeing in terms of activities. It's hard to say, but it's kind of fun to just bring the whole mycelium into view and get a sense of that. If you come to one of the cafe calls, we can play with the map interactively and I can give you a more practical tour. But I do want to show you this view as well. So this is something we've just started doing where we show the different engagement streams in blue, and there's home groups in orange and partners in green and people that have indicated on the map that they're connected to them. The red are leaders. For example, some folks are leading many things like Akiko. We can go out one more degree from her and see how much is connected through 2 degrees of Akiko to all of the activities here in Now What. And I just want to show you one other visual, which is our calendar for the next 4 weeks, which will grow. But it gives you a sense of everything that is planned already and that we're plugged into. Each one of these can be opened up and looked at. Here's one of the weekly cafe calls. So with that, here, I'll just take us back to the opening ceremony. This is where we are right now. And this wonderful image from Stephanie's friend, Deborah Milton. She, he, they who watches now.
Thank you, Ben. The evolving now what world. We want to have a little time now to speak about where we are in what I would call a code red world. And this is an open conversation. Claire and I are going to kind of launch it, but everyone is welcome to share and join. And I will speak initially about my contribution in this now what iteration, which is different from any way that I've participated before, because climate change and consciousness that I founded and that was born in 2019 is now partnered with Humanity Rising. And with that expansive organization, we are creating a series that runs through the COP26 and launching the Global Regeneration Corps that is in response to our code red state. The level of urgency has been upped considerably for those of us committed to children like Lev's 2-year-old son, and those who will inherit what we leave them, the legacy, the original first subtitle of Climate Change and Consciousness, our legacy for the earth. And I have a particular commitment to healthcare preparedness, being able to empower healthcare at the grassroots level, knowing the magnitude of threat to vulnerable populations who I have always acted on behalf of throughout my career. Survivors of shock and trauma, children, neurodiverse people, people who have been traumatized, people with underlying health conditions, mothers, babies, and the elderly. 80% of the health consequences of climate crisis are felt by children under 5 years old. Lev's son are the most vulnerable to those health impacts. So on November 4th, I'm launching a program with Vandana Shiva, Woman Stands Shining, Pat McCabe, Dr. Shamini Jain, and others to speak truth to power about healthcare's responsibility. And that, along with the other COP26 programs every day of the COP, will be field trips for Now What. I've never participated in Now What by the field trip portal. So this will be a link between the Now What actions and the COP26 live streaming with reporting every day from the COP by people like Bill McKibben, for instance, who was one of our presenters at Climate Change and Consciousness, as was Vandana Shiva. So this whole series is almost like the next iteration of Climate Change and Consciousness. So I am consumed with that, dedicated to that. And the healthcare vision that I'm putting forward was actually tested in various iterations of Now What. That's what Now What has given me, is a kind of an informal clinical trial research opportunity to test run my concepts, like my sustainable health vision. So from the standpoint of where are we right now, that's my take. Claire, share yours, please.
Well, I'll thank you, Stephanie, for all of that and for all the phenomenal amount of work that you are doing. You are a force of nature. I want to acknowledge you in your eldership too, to be visible as a lighthouse for us and for the youth, the work you're doing with Ubiquity University to help support youth, knowing that we haven't abandoned them.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think briefly I would just like to speak to imagination and ways of knowing and being. We know to some degree where we're at in terms of planetary pain and degradation. And we live with that. We live with those numbers and those systems that are failing. I feel like I walk this earth to bring a light of my own little hand onto our aesthetic potential, our potential to know ourselves as the poetry of the planet, to know ourselves as sentient, and to know planet as sentient too. I suspect our forgetting of the planet's sentience and all her beings that rely on her is because we have forgotten our own in an industrial development over time. This industrialization has accented a certain microscopic way of knowing, and how we know affects how we be. It affects how we can show up in the world. It affects what we know to be possible. When we open our imaginations, the thing we were asked to shut down after we got to a certain age, perhaps a slightly different age or stage of life for each of us, this realm of fantasy is actually essential. It's essential for our ability to perceive the possible in what would otherwise be considered illogical and therefore impossible. If we think of our ways of knowing as the way we think with our minds, the way we feel with our hearts, and the way we sense with our bodies, those are all relational to some degree, in different ways. They give us different language for being here, for our beingness, for how we are active in the world, even how we are still in the world. How are we listening? Are we listening with our bodies? Are we listening just to language? Or are we listening to the space between all the sounds and the movements? I hope that those of us who resonate with the other ways of knowing and being, which are, I would say, the sensory and the intuitive, the atmospheric, the poetic, the emotional, the empathic, the subtleties, that we can become more proud of those identifications, like those ways of identifying our environment. There's been a lot of bullying in politics, there's been a lot of bullying in industry, with the idea that if you feel that you are weak, that you are primitive, that comes at great cost. If we can bring back, with a certain kind of inner planetary authority, the other ways of knowing and being to create balance, then there is a possibility that some may learn new experiences, learn to have new interactions, and become more receptive as a modality. So I speak for that. I speak for the fairies. I speak for earth spirits. I speak for the wind. I hear the mountains. I feel the oceans. And I do that with you, with each of you, because we're all built this way. And we all have our own way of showing up and doing this. Maybe it's time to do it a little more publicly, a little more visibly, taking more risks. Because really a bully only wins when they shut down someone. So thank you for everything about who you are. And I hand you back to Stephanie.
I love co-facilitating anything with Claire. Everything always expands in your presence, Claire.
Thank you.
That's something I do want to mention. Somebody have original sound on? Oh, there we go. Thanks. That through climate change and consciousness, and now what? Relationships, personal, nourishing relationships, as well as what we do collectively, are built and sustained and enhanced even through this form of being online, not our favorite form, but Sue Lennox would be a good example, who's here from Australia, who is a partner with Climate Change and Consciousness, and who has added her incredible resources of Oz Green, Youth Leading the World, Resilient Communities. And through our collaboration, we will be providing a platform for Walking the Land Africa youth for this COP26 series, particularly youth from Sierra Leone and Senegal, who will be talking about what's really going on the ground for them in regard to their lives, in regard to their regenerative agriculture, in regard to their courageous and hardworking efforts to sustain their culture, their land, to have food and electricity and water and sustenance and safety and health for their people. So the relationships that get built through these venues are nourishing on personal and collective levels, and those two are always meant to be one. This is how we're meant to live, in union, in collaboration across the globe. And we can do it. We can do it. We can do it. Don't let the bullies get us down. When I was in different political organizations, they had another way of saying it. Maybe some of you have heard it. Never let the idiots, you might say, never let the bullshit, never let the bastards get you down. Just let it alchemize, slide off of you. It's an art. It's an art. And it's the art of the great physician, which is a term that comes out of Buddhism, actually. Nagarjuna taught the art of alchemizing poison into medicine. The great physician. The great physician is she who knows the metallurgy of grief. The great physician is she who knows the metallurgy of grief. She transmutes vilification, betrayal, scapegoating, gaslighting, torture, finger pointing, blaming, castigation, and all manner of ignorance. She transmutes all manner of ignorance into enthusiasm for the future of humanity. She transmutes all manner of ignorance into enthusiasm for the future of humanity. As truth rises to the surface of my body, this is the truth. As truth rises to the surface of my body, bones mend. This is the truth. Bones mend, tendons reknit, joints ease, and resilience arises. Resilience arises, my friends, no matter your age, as you transmute all manner of ignorance into enthusiasm for the future of humanity, for Lev's son. As you transmute all manner of ignorance, resilience arises, joints ease, resilience arises, bones mend, resilience arises. Heart feeds mind poems. Heart feeds minds poems. That's the subtle, nuanced world Claire was speaking to. Heart feeds mind poems and healthcare strategies. And healthcare strategies and the architecture of leadership. Heart feeds that to mind. Did you know that a developing baby in utero is all heart? That's embryological truth. A developing baby in utero is all heart. Everything grows out of the heart. The great physician breathes the recipe for making poison into medicine. We can do this. We can make poison into medicine. This is the destiny of fulfillment.
Stephanie, I put the words in the chat for people to see. The words of your beautiful poem. How do you feel you want to move with it? I think there are some different ways we can move with this together, all of us together.
Please facilitate that, Claire.
Okay. Let me just go quiet for a minute.
And anyone else who wants to contribute to that expansion, please do.
I feel I'd like to explore a intuitive popcorn approach. I will create a small soundscape. As we know with Zoom, it'll be a little challenging with the mic, the way it gets confused about where to focus. But the words are in the chat. And maybe, Stephanie, maybe you could start it again and then fall away. And maybe anyone that feels it can share elements. It doesn't have to be chronological, just elements that touch your bones, touch you in a raw place or a sensitive place or a meaningful place.
Maybe you could model that, Claire, like I could read a line and then and you could give an example of how that would happen.
Yeah.
The great physician is she who knows the metallurgy of grief.
She transmutes vilification, betrayal, finger pointing,
blaming, castigation.
All manner of ignorance into enthusiasm for the future of humanity.
He transmutes all manner of ignorance into enthusiasm for the future of humanity.
As truth.
As truth rises to the surface of my body,
Bones mend, tendons reknit, joints ease, and resilience arises.
Scapegoating. Betrayal.
heart feeds mind poems. Heart
Gaslighting.
feeds mind poems. Feeds mind poems. Resilience arises.
Healthcare strategies arise.
Resilience arises.
The great physician breathes.
The architecture of leadership.
this is the destiny of fulfillment.
Poison into medicine.
Bones mend, tendons reknit, joints ease, and resilience arises.
Scapegoating, gaslighting, torture, finger pointing,
Betrayal. Blaming.
The architecture of leadership, the recipe for making poison into medicine.
My name is Stephanie Mines. My name is Stephanie Mines.
the metallurgy of grief.
She transmutes vilification, all manner of ignorance. Truth rises. Heart feeds mind poems.
The great physician is wise. In her bones. And lives a great love for humanity.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Are you talking to us, Tina?
I'm sorry, I was talking to Cassie.
I'd love to hear from the others in the room. You're welcome to say whatever you like. You can ask questions about now what that Ben can answer. You can ask questions about the Global Regeneration Corps. You can ask Claire how this is the question I always ask Claire, is how does this happen? Because Claire is the voice of the earth. If I said to Claire right now that the next thing we were going to do is Claire was going to be the voice of the earth, that same expansive power would emerge. It always does. And that's the question I always ask Claire. How does that happen? Oh, if you want to ask Claire that question also, you can. I'd love to hear from everybody. You can even just share what's on top, whatever's on top for you right now.
So I'm going to just say hi to everybody and thank you. I'm sorry I was late, and I feel like I missed the party. So if there's a little something that you can just, I don't mean to explain because I don't think it's explainable, but just kind of fill me in on what happened, then I might feel up to speed. But it's lovely to be here, and I love the poem. Thank you.
When did you come in, Vicky?
Just as you were reading the poem.
Okay.
I'd just like to thank Lev for sharing this with us, and with gratitude to the One Navajo tradition, who we honor in our closing ritual. So I'd invite you to just either stand or be in a position that you're comfortable to take, and to face the east, wherever that is for you. And with each of these, I'll just give a moment for you to personally connect with that energy or the meaning of that direction for you in your context there. We face the east and gratitude for new beginnings, and we celebrate the new beginnings in our lives personally and collectively and globally, and we give space for the new beginnings of humanity in the world to invite in. And breathing into that, with a breath, we will turn to the south. To honor the blessed work, the labor and the activity, the collaboration and soul work. We give thanks and space and acknowledgement to the South and the guides of the South. Oh, and I wanted to say, and to the north if you're in the Southern Hemisphere. Sorry. And we turn to the west. Here. To honor the teachings and the wisdom, to the elders, ancestors, to those we have learned from, who have given us those gifts, the teachings and wisdoms that we might share. With a breath to acknowledge and give thanks. And we turn now to the north, in the Northern Hemisphere, in the south, in the Southern Hemisphere, to acknowledge and celebrate the other side and the ancestors here. With thanks, we now give our attention to the earth with its offers of nourishment and groundedness, to the earth body, and our body's connection to it. And to the sky, to all that's above, for guidance and heart. We feel and sense the sky and give thanks. And finally, to the seventh direction, to you, to ourselves. And thanks to all of ourselves for being here and sharing this.